So guys, I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn mentioned that a fight between Amir Khan and Conor Benn could be a huge pay-per-view fight. It could be a huge fight, down the road, depending on how Conor Benn gets on with Vargas. And Conor Benn, he said Conor Benn wants to fight David Avanesian. Honestly, like, everybody knows that I'm a massive Amir Khan fan. But Amir Khan v Conor Benn on pay-per-view, that's fans would that would be, unless Conor Benn goes on to world level, and I mean if he goes on to beat like Vargas and Avanesian, right? I don't know how you could flog that on pay-per-view, right? Where are the days where pay-per-view fights would be like world championship fights between two? See, now this fight, yes, it fills one of the categories where Conor Benn's, for me, a guy that's got a huge name because of his father, and obviously Amir Khan's a massive, massive name. But neither guy is really at world level right now. Let's be honest. I don't know where Amir Khan is even a domestic level at this point. Is he even European level? I don't know. Is he world level? I don't know where Amir Khan's at right now in terms of his career. Right, we can't go and live what he was 10 years ago. Right now, I don't know where he's at, right? In terms of his boxing career, I don't know what level he's operating at right now, right? And Conor Benn right now is, I personally think he's domestic level, right? Domestic to European, like, we don't know. Like, I think a lot of people are sleeping on this fight against Vargas. I don't know whether he wins this fight. I genuinely don't know. Vargas has only lost to really, really top men. Like, he's lost to Virgil Ortiz, Amir Khan. He's lost to Danny Garcia, Errol Spence. Like, those guys, and yeah, he might have lost to a few other guys. I haven't seen his record completely, but like, Conor Benn's not on those guys' level. So it's hard for me to look at that and say, well, he's lost to those guys. Yeah, but like, those guys are better than Conor Benn that I've just named. So how can I look at those guys and say, well, Conor Benn, for me, this is his hardest fight. He hasn't had a tougher fight. See, for Conor Benn, this is his world title fight. This Samuel Vargas fight, because like when Amir fought Vargas, Amir had been in the ring with way better fighters. So for Amir, it was just another fight. It wasn't, Samuel Vargas wasn't a top fighter to Amir Khan, because it was just another fight in his career. To Conor Benn, this is his world title fight. This is his biggest test to date in his boxing career, probably as an amateur or pro. So this is his world title fight against Vargas, and he's fighting a guy who's a good fighter. Vargas is no bum. Vargas is a very good fighter. Like I said, he's only lost to the best, to world level guys. So when you think about it, what has Conor Benn done in his career thus far that makes us think he's going to beat Samuel Vargas? Not a lot. Like, would it shock me if Vargas beats Conor Benn? No, I'm telling you now, I won't be shocked. But I like Conor Benn. I hope he wins. And to be honest with you, one of my subscribers, I'll give a shout out to Burning Desire. He said, you said that you'd love to see Amir Khan v Conor Benn, and that's why I'm doing this video for you. I actually, for some reason, right, it's kind of sounds surreal, because it sounds so like crazy to even think about Amir Khan, Conor Benn, because of where Amir Khan was at one point. And it just sounds stupid to even be saying that this fight could happen or should happen, because it just shows how much Amir Khan has dropped from where we viewed him and where he was at one point in his career, to coming to a point where we're thinking about a Khan-Benn fight. But actually, if I'm honest with you, it's a fight that I wouldn't mind. It's a fight that I would like. Especially if Conor Benn could have like a destructive performance over Vargas, and then maybe fights an Avanesian. And I actually think that Conor Benn, I think he would be an underdog against Avanesian, and you'd have to favour Avanesian massively. But I actually think he's got a better style than Kelly to beat Avanesian. I actually think that Conor Benn's got that dog in him. And Conor Benn's style is all based on fitness, toughness. You see, Conor Benn, right? He's not obviously as good as his father, and probably not as good as the fighter that I'm going to name. And if he does manage to have a career like this guy, Conor Benn could potentially be someone like Carl Froch. Now, again, Carl Froch was a great fighter. But when you look at him stylistically, Conor Benn looks like he's got a good chin. Now, again, Carl Froch proved his chin at world-class level. This guy's not, this guy's been down against a journeyman, right? Yes, he got back up and won the... Did he win the fight? I don't know. I'll let you guys make that decision. But the fact of the matter is, if he improves his game, because Carl Froch had a lot better skills than Conor Benn, when he got to World Championship level. But when you look at Conor Benn, he reminds me of a bit like Carl Froch, like that same toughness, not got the greatest defense, takes a shot, but takes a shot well. He's got that spite in him, puts his punches together well. Could he become a bit like Carl Froch? Possibly. Possibly. He's got a lot to prove. He's still domestic level. But I do think the fight with him and Avanesian, I know people are going to say Avanesian destroys him. I don't think Avanesian will want that fight, because Avanesian would look at Conor Benn. Why am I going to... Avanesian was calling out Khan. He wants to fight Amir Khan. But I actually think the Conor Benn Avanesian fight's a great fight. And I actually think that Avanesian would be troubled a lot more than Benn, because like I said, I think Benn's style is grit, determination, toughness, fitness, right? And Conor Benn ain't gassing after 4 or 5 rounds. Conor Benn's not going to gas, right, after 4 or 5 rounds at all. Conor Benn's style is based around fitness, toughness, grit, determination. That's Conor Benn's style, right? So for me personally, I think that the Avanesian fight, I know people are going to say Avanesian destroys Conor Benn. I actually think that's a very good fight. That's a very, very good fight. And if Conor Benn beats Avanesian, I believe that the Amir Khan and Conor Benn fight could be made for an eliminator for a world title shot. Then you could make a case, and even then it's at a stretch, make a case for pay-per-view. That's at a stretch, right? But apart from that, you cannot make a case for this fight being a pay-per-view. And like I said, I'm a massive Amir Khan fan. But I just don't see how... Yes, Amir Khan's got a huge name, and Conor Benn, is a son of a great fighter, and who had a huge name as well. But when you look at what he's done in his career so far, like, at the end of the day, you can't live off your dad's. You have to do what you have to, create your own name. And I feel like Chris Eubank Jr. has done that a little bit. I don't think he gets the credit, but Chris Eubank Jr. has actually done that. He's fought some good guys and beat some good guys. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. for me is world-class level. Conor Benn's yet to show me that he's world-class level yet. And if he destroys Samuel Vargas and he fights someone like Avanesian and wins, then he's definitely proven that he's world-class. No doubt about it. Because Avanesian's better than Samuel Vargas, and Avanesian will be quite a big favourite to beat Conor Benn. But if Conor Benn can put in a performance against someone like Avanesian and Vargas, I actually think that fight between him and Khan could be made for like an eliminator for a world title. Then I think the fight becomes a pay-per-view fight. And then I also believe that Amir Khan will be interested in take that fight. As of right now, I don't think... what's he going to gain? Eddie Hearn also mentioned that why would Amir Khan or Kell Brook want to fight Conor Benn? Only for money. If the money's right, they'll fight him. Because Eddie Hearn said that Amir Khan's not really charging, or Amir Khan or Kell Brook are not really charging to become world champion. It's all about money fights now. It's all about big money. I don't think that's a right thing for a guy like Amir Khan that's operated at the top level not to be fighting, not to win world titles. Because if you can't compete at that level that you operated at for majority of your career, then why are you fighting at all? Amir Khan's got a lot of money. He's one of those blessed fighters that made shed load of money throughout his career. This is my personal opinion, I feel like that if that fight was to be made for an eliminator for a title, and I'm not saying fighting the eliminator should be like for like a Crawford or Spence, because neither Avanesian, Benn or Amir Khan, right, have any chance of beating like a Spence or Crawford, right? So if it's for like fighting someone like Ugas or even a Virgil Ortiz or someone like that, if whoever, no matter at that time when, if these guys were to mix it, right? If they were to, whoever comes out on top fight for a world title, it should be for someone like that they can beat, not like And that doesn't necessarily mean they'll beat someone like Ugas or Ortiz, because they'd probably be an underdog in that fight. But nevertheless, I think it should be realistic. Spence and Crawford, you're just going in like and gonna probably take a loss. I personally feel that if Conor Benn beats Vargas, beats Avanesian, then I just think that you could then push that fight for a pay-per-view and for an eliminator for a world title with him and Amir Khan. I think you could probably say Conor Benn beating Avanesian could push for him for an eliminator for a world title. If Conor Benn beats Avanesian, for me, Conor Benn deserves a world title shot. But I'm pretty sure Conor Benn would let go of that world title shot to fight Amir Khan. So that's why I mean that I think that then if that fight is for an eliminator for a world title, right, then I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to put that fight on pay-per-view, because people would actually be interested, because they know the winner of that fight would be fighting for a world title. And it'd be a relevant fight. You see the Amir Khan Kell Brook fight, although it's two domestic beef and rivalry, it doesn't really mean anything anymore, because Eddie Hearn just said in an interview that Amir Khan and Kell Brook have no interest of winning world titles anymore. They're not going charged. They're not going to put in a charge to win a world title. See, that a lot of the fans kind of think that two washed up guys. Seeing a prospect and a guy that's coming towards the end is always great, because you want to see whether the prospect can beat the guy that was, you know, a great fighter in his day, or is the prospect gonna get found out. See, Conor Benn beating Avanesian, right? If he beats Avanesian, right, he'd be going into the Amir Khan fight probably as a favorite, right? He may be going into that fight as a favorite, right? Right now, he'd be going in as a massive underdog, even though Amir's not fought for a long time and we don't know where he's at. He'd still be going in as an underdog. But if he beats Avanesian, then, you know, like I said, he'd be ready for a world title shot for me. But I honestly do believe that the Avanesian Benn fight, I know a lot of people are going to say that, you know, Avanesian destroys Conor Benn. I don't think so. I think that would be a great fight. I think Conor Benn's got better fitness than Josh Kelly. He's very tough. Also, Avanesian has the perfect style for Conor Benn, where he walks forward. He's not a boxer. He's not a guy that's going to outclass him. You see, I actually think if Amir Khan's got any kind of fitness, he would outclass Conor Benn, and it could potentially be a very one-sided fight. I actually think the Avanesian fight stylistically favors Conor Benn. It's just whether Conor Benn can handle that kind of pressure, that kind of you know, punch power, the relentlessness from Avanesian. You know, it's world-class kind of pressure fighting, you know, and I don't know whether Conor Benn has that kind of, can compete at that kind of level yet. He hasn't shown in his career so far. I haven't the opponents that he's been fighting are nowhere near Avanesian's level. But if he can handle someone like Avanesian, then he's ready for a world title shot. And then the Amir Khan fight becomes a lot more sensible, and I also think it can then be pushed for as a pay-per-view. But apart from that, I think right now, I don't think you can say that fight's a pay-per-view at all. I think if Conor Benn beats someone like an Avanesian, he'd become credible in terms of a world-class fighter. And then because of Amir Khan's name and Conor Benn, the fact that, you know, he's the son of a great fighter, and then the fact that he would have beaten a world-class fighter, and he's also world-class, and the fight would be for an eliminator for a world title, you can then push that fight for a pay-per-view. Otherwise, it's not really a pay-per-view fight, let's be honest. Because, like I said, when was the last time Amir Khan fought? 2019. Long time ago, and we don't know where he's at. We don't know where he's at from a physical point of view. We don't know where his career's at. So, I actually think I like that fight down the road. If Conor Benn can prove himself to be world class, I think that fight would make sense. And I think financially, most importantly, the fight would be a lucrative fight for Amir Khan to be interested in. And Amir Khan would also look at Conor Benn as a fight that he probably thinks he can win comfortably, even at this stage of his career. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys in the next video. Join my Instagram page. Follow my Instagram page. Follow my Twitter. Join my Facebook group. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.